You know what, Jamie? Let's pop off right now. We got to get started.
We gotta go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get the people in the chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle, the morning after recap of the Notre Dame USC football game. Notre Dame wins 48-20 over the USC Trojans, the formerly number 10 ranked USC Trojans. They will not be ranked that next week when the rankings come out. So that's a great victory for Notre Dame and the football team. And Marcus Freeman. So we're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about stats. We're going to talk about everyone's favorite moments, whatever everyone wants to talk about from the football game. Thank you to Mitchell. This is a great comment. This is a great comment. Shout out safeties coach Del Alexander for recruiting Xavier Watts. Wait, he was a receivers coach. Listen, full credit to Del Alexander. Basically won Notre Dame the football game last night. That's fact check true. He brought Xavier Watts into the program, and look what he did for Notre Dame yesterday against USC. That's a great comment from Mitchell there. Irish Hokey 8 says, ever wake up still drunk and happy about it? Me too. Congrats to Irish Hokey. Yes, Brendan, who was in the press box last night in the football game. Eject. USC will be ejecting. Check out my top 20 next week. It's going to be fire. It's going to be good. And I think there's going to be an ejection from the USC Trojans. They played one good team and they got throttled by them. So I think that's a fair take. There's going to be an ejection from USC coming up on the Earned 5-Star Podcast Top 20 that I'll be releasing this week. So thank you everyone for tuning in. If this is your first time catching me, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know that we're going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. And also check out irishsportsdaily.com. A ton of content that's gone up. Jamie's got his instant analysis up, a bunch of photos from the game. And so really fired up to talk about it. Mark Youngman wants to talk about his favorite moment, which was watching a Heisman candidate lose the trophy playing Notre Dame. It's not often we see that, Mark. That is not often the case from Notre Dame. Usually they are winning Heismans for USC quarterbacks. Last night, Caleb Williams, he still has a chance, right? They're going to play Washington. They're going to play Oregon. They're going to play USC. And for them, as is always the case with USC, this means nothing to them in terms of the Pac-12. So everything that they want is ready for them. And it's all in front of them. So they still have a lot to play for. So the Heisman Trophy can change very quickly. But it didn't look good. It did not look good. 3 interceptions. Let's see. According to ESPN, CMAC says Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions, but he was careless. Not one word on Notre Dame's defense dominating. I didn't catch that. Yeah, but people say things. It doesn't matter. I think the biggest thing for me, just with the Notre Dame's defense, this is an all-time Notre Dame pass defense here. Put up some stats on the Twitter machine. After 8 games against, and obviously you have Ohio State and USC on the schedule, right? So it's not like it's not a bunch of navies out there, Notre Dame is 4th in the nation in passing efficiency defense at 97.49 passer rating against, which is just incredible. They've allowed 5 touchdowns all year, picking off 5 passes, 5.5 yards per attempt, 52% passing. I mean, the 2012 defense was not as good as this. I mean, this is truly an all-time pass defense. Last night, they were all over the place. I think not just the fact that, they were able to secure interceptions, nothing down the field for USC. The longest pass they completed yesterday was 21 yards. You had another 20-yarder in there as well. This is a team that has multiple receivers who average over 20 yards per per reception for the season. So to keep the explosives down against a team like that, it's really all you can ask for. It's everything that you want. They had the 131-yard run by the running back, and he finished with 46 yards with a 31-yard run. So that just kind of goes to show Marshawn Lloyd with the 31-yard carry. That just goes to show what Notre Dame was doing defensively. It's just an incredible performance by the defense, an incredible performance by Al Golden. And so it vaults Notre Dame into the bye. We're going to talk about the offense a little bit. I think the performance is a little bit better offensively than I think most people would kind of the average 5.1 yards per play, right? USC averaged 4.1 yards per play on the day. You're going to have, a lot of people will look at the total first downs. A lot of people will look at the total yardage. You're not going to have a ton of total yards when you have an interception return to the 12, an interception return to the 2, and you have a 99-yard kickoff return where the offense never gets on the field, right? So you're losing yards there. You're losing yards on just the fact that you don't have to go very far to score touchdowns. After the interception by Ben Morrison, they go 50 yards on 5 plays, right? So they were able to punch that in. After Notre Dame or after USC scored the 23-14, the long touchdown on the 31-yard run, made it 24-13. They go right down the field. They had a good kickoff return, which was a theme. You got to give Marty Biaggi a ton of credit for that. He saw something within USC in the way that they are covering kickoffs. And so you got to give him credit. He had a good plan, and obviously they busted one, but they also had a couple of other nice ones as well. And then Notre Dame goes right down and scores, and they hit the explosive to Tyree, which was a huge call. That defense was totally out of pocket. I'm gonna break it down later, but USC's in man. They're essentially in zero coverage without bringing pressure. So they sent 4 man defense, no safety in the middle of the field, no safety in hashes or cover 3 or any of that stuff. You're just sitting there in zero coverage, and your corner nickel has to cover the entire field. What is that defense? What is going on? So but it's a great throw by Sam Hartman, leads Tyree across the field and doesn't send him towards the defender. It's really good stuff. Yards per play. Yes, Notre Dame was 5.1 yards per play. USC was 4.1. That does say more about the Notre Dame defense to hold an offense like USC to 4.1 yards per play. 5.1 yards per play is nothing to write home about. That's not good, right? That's not good. That's not anything a top offense would do. So, but they were able to get it done there on a couple of very important drives. And look, they cashed in all their red zone opportunities, right? Like that's something you do need to do. And it's something that allows you to take the lead that Notre Dame did. So you want to cash in on that stuff. And if you want to cash in on some quality dress shirts that are going to vault you into a greater realm of dressing, going to work, going to cocktail parties, going to weddings, then you're going to want to check out ESQclothing.com, which has created the world's first bamboo dress shirt, of course, founded by Notre Dame alum Ga Wang. It's crafted from high-quality bamboo fabric. It's the softest and most comfortable shirt you'll ever put on. Not only more sustainable than cotton, but also feels cooler, has stretch, is odor and wrinkle-resistant, even machine washable. You've seen ESQ's one-piece collar bamboo shirt. It's the perfect shirt for today's business meeting or heading for a night out. Use ISD 15. You get 15% off all online items. That's ISD 15 for 15% off. Drew Payment says, excuse me, Freeman gets 1,000% on turning the culture around after Louisville and then coaching the boys up during the game, in my opinion. Tons of credit to Marcus Freeman. I mean, the way that the program, the team bounced back. They came in with a good attitude. I thought the crowd, big props to the crowd, everyone who was there. It was obviously a very electric atmosphere. It helps when you intercept the ball on the first play or on the first drive and you go down and score. which was a dream scenario for Notre Dame. But that obviously helps. And so, but the crowd was lit. They were not down after the loss to Louisville, and they made it happen. They made it happen. So it's good props to him. Good job to Marcus Freeman. Brennan says the preschool moms in LA are going to be buzzing on Monday. If you wanted to point to the non-Watts defensive player who impressed you the most, who would it be? I mean, it's kind of hard to not look at Howard Cross in just all of these situations. I tweeted out his pressure numbers. I want to get them right. So let me pull them up here. Let me go find my tweet, because he has been just incredible. Okay, we've got Howard Cross, 6 total pressures, 4 quarterback hurries, and 1 sack. Javante Jean-Baptiste, 7 total pressures, 6 quarterback hurries. Notre Dame had 34 total pressures on the day, which, again, you do have to keep in mind, like, you can have more than 1 pressure on a play. So that's why, like, they didn't pressure him that much, but they had a 47% pressure rate, basically half the time. Caleb Williams was dropping back. 19 quarterback hurries total for Notre Dame. On the 21 dropbacks for Caleb Williams, 5 of 13, 40 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Those numbers are abysmal. You put pressure on Caleb Williams, doesn't matter who it is, you're going to cause problems. And Notre Dame was able to do that. So I think Howard Cross, Javante Jean-Baptiste. I thought JD Bertrand was phenomenal in this game. It's phenomenal. Making plays, 11 tackles for him, blows up the 4th down play. Just really good performance. Not a ton of missed tackles from these guys. One of their better tackling games of the season in a must-have it situation where USC is very difficult to corral in the open field. It's hard to pick out just one, because there are so many players that had major contributions in the game where you can't even look at someone and say, like, it was just a stinker of a game from them. One of the better performances we've seen defensively in a long time. I mean, you're talking 4.1 yards per play for the USC Trojans. This is a team that went into it around 8-9 yards a play, right? Averaging 49 points a game. And for them to do that, and I understand they're not playing the greatest teams, but I mean, we've seen it. It's been, 16 games, whatever it is for Lincoln Riley at USC, 17, 18, 19 games. I mean, it's a great performance. Stubborn Mix says, I was happy that Snead bounced back after that running into the kicker snafu. I mean, this team's unbelievable with their penalties. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just going to be a problem all year. It's 8 games in, and it's going to be a big problem. They got to figure it out. But he did. He bounced back, made a couple of sacks, or he made a sack. He almost had the interception when Caleb Williams tried to dump it off over the middle. He loops around and he gets his hand up. Look, he broke it up the play, ended the USC drive. So that's obviously huge for him. And so that's a great job. Stubborn Mix says, held USC to 20 points. Really should have been 17. What a disaster at the end of the first half. That's unbelievable. And I put up the screenshot on Twitter last night. If Marcus Freeman doesn't call timeout, the clock runs 0. But they were throwing flags, like they were going to let him run a play. I don't know the end of. So I know that things like delay a game are not reviewable, but I don't know about the game clock. I was actually looking it up. If the half runs out or the quarter runs out, I don't know that they can review that. I'm not sure. And I don't know. it's also one of those things where, I mean, when is this situation ever happening again? Ever. Where the clock is running down, you just got a sack. They have no timeouts. They want to spike it / run a play. I think Caleb Williams was smart enough to know like they can't run a play there, or they can't spike it. Like he needs to actually run a play. But like you have players celebrating behind the play, and you need to get them back. Like I can't. It's like I can't bang. I mean, obviously panicked. He wasn't sure what to do. But I can't bang Marcus Freeman too much because when is this situation ever coming up? Like in your mind, like when is it ever, as a coach, you think about, oh, I got to get ready for these situations? Summer Mix, they were at the 50-yard line. It's not like they were close. Like they were nowhere near being anywhere close to making a play or being able to get back. Like they're like doing stuff as it's 20 yards away, and you want to bang them. You like okay, Traore, right? Like they put him in the game. He's 2 freshmen. He comes in and makes a huge play. You think the half's over. Sneed celebrating with his bud, and then you got Marist, who's like a 5th-year guy. Marist is a 5th-year guy who's not who's just like over there with him. His team. I don't know. Drew says refs can review it for clock expiration. So yeah, I don't. It's just kind of hard. It's kind of hard to expect Freeman to actually know exactly what to do in that situation, right? So I'll give him some leeway there. I will. I'm not going to give him leeway for kicking the field goal. It's 38-20. You got to go for it, Marcus. It's fourth and 1 from the 5-yard line. Like, you got to go for it, Marcus. Come on. Drunk Vigo says, am I still partying? Listen, I went to bed at 11:30 and I woke up at 4:30 to prep. You know, you got to prep. You prep for these things. You look up stats. You prepare for the people. I'm not asking people to tune in at 9:30 in the morning, 8:30, 7:30, 6:30, and I'm not prepping. So look, I woke up at 4:30, watching the game back. I thought the NBC broadcast was an abomination. They can't figure out the audio. It sounded terrible. So here, full disclosure, I don't listen to any games now with the sound up. It's distracting to me to listen to the people. Like listening, and Jason Garrett last night, like listening to some of his stuff is just like, please don't, please stop. Like he doesn't do a good job. He doesn't do a good job. But I listened. I don't have volume. I never have volume, and I listened to it, and I'm like the Xavier Watts interception. You would think it's just like ruckus loudness, and it was just you can't hear anything. It's just so bad. So that they got to get that figured out. USC fans, they're gonna have to deal with that going forward. Yeah, mute them and put the radio on. That's good stuff. It's good, but the lag is the problem with YouTube TV. The lag is the problem. It's no good. So yeah, so I give Marcus some leeway on the on what not he didn't know what to do at the end of the half there. It's hard to know how to handle that situation. It's just like he said, the players got to grow up. You're 5-2 team, like you got to finish. You got to be, and look, I think that for him, it's so depressing because it obviously is a reflection on him. Like he has to be thinking like, it's honestly like how your kid, like you're out in public and your kid is acting a fool. And it's like you get mad and you're mad because like what is my problem as a parent that my kid is acting this way kind of thing? And Notre Dame keeps doing these penalties, committing these penalties like this. They're making like boneheaded mistakes. He's obviously thinking like, this is a bad reflection on me. So it's like a disappointment thing. So I get it, but that's the way it goes. But look, you got it. You can't get on Marcus too much. I mean, this is a great performance by his football team. Look, the offense, it needs work. I think they really need the bye. They need the bye. They just got to get Jaden Thomas back. They really do. I mean, it's completely different without him in there. You got Jaden Greathouse to the field now. He's running boundary, and that's not working for Notre Dame. They need Jaden Thomas back badly, really bad. And so it's just that is a part of what needs to happen during the bye. They need to get him back. Greathouse needs to get back. I mean, obviously you've added something in Faison now. Like I think that's a very good development for the team. I think Chris Tyree's made a couple of really huge plays. He had a big drop in this game. But he also had like one of the biggest plays of the game, honestly, like a back-breaking play where USC again goes down, scores 24-13. And you feel like Notre Dame has to do something offensively. The defense has completely given them basically all of their points. And they went down there, and they hit the big one at Tyree. That's a huge play by him. And so, full credit to Tyree there. And so they need to build off of that. They need to build off of Faison. They need to get Jaden Thomas back. It is massively important that they get him back and healthy. And moving forward for the season. Joe Bro is asking, do you think we'll see more freshmen after the bye? I don't know what freshmen you're talking about. If you're referring specifically to Braylon James, I would say no. I would say probably not. Just because they've needed him to be activated. Not him specific, anyone. They needed any kind of wide receiver, and that's why Faison's such a big deal. Like they needed it, right? It is a little bit weird to me that Faison is now like a starter, playing like real minutes and real snaps, and like he couldn't see the field in the first 6 weeks. Like that is odd to me. So I don't know what that is. That's very strange. But so I mean, he's a freshman, so I guess yeah, you would see more of him. I think we would expect that. It's Faison. I mean, Greathouse plays, Flores plays, Love plays. I'm just trying to think like who else would we see? I mean, Christian Gray, he saw 2 snaps yesterday. Maybe see more of him. The linebackers are tough because it's very hard. I can totally understand Al Golden being. It's very difficult for Golden to say, you know what, I'm ready to take out Bertrand here. I'm ready to take out Marist. You just can't see that. Right. It's very difficult. Oh, Joe Bro specifically talking about on the defense. I mean, the Traore thing. That's a good call, Joe Bro, on Traore. Like, is that going to be a thing? Like I saw Burnham. I think he might have had a hamstring again with the hamstrings. I mean, we haven't seen this. We haven't seen this many hamstrings for Notre Dame. In a season in a very, very long time. So, I don't want to link it directly to Bayless or Fred Hale or whatever. Okay. Because I don't know what the deal is with it. Maybe there's some other change, but soft tissue stuff is strength and conditioning just as a rule. Right. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's whatever. Right. But it's becoming like a kind of an issue. Let's see. Mitch of a Hilux says, I want Gino to take over play calling. I don't know that it would ever be. I don't know that it would ever be like a complete just Geno's calling plays now. Like you just give him more responsibility with like the passing game, and you give DMC more responsibility at the running game. Full disclosure, and Jamie and I talked about this yesterday. I thought Parker called. I thought he called a pretty good game yesterday. I thought he tried to do some things that were like I was like, yeah, it's good, right? I mean, look, the touchdown to Tyree is play action. I mean, you threw 3 play action passes all game. Sam Hartman's 20 attempts, so like 14% of them are play action passes. Like that has to be better. It just has to be. But then, you call play action on the first play of the second half, and Sam Hartman's got Holden Staves running by himself, and he throws a jump ball basically to Mitchell Evans. It's like, just take the easy one, man. It's like right there. It's right in front of you. He's going to run for first down. So, there's also like there's an execution element. But here's the thing, right? Jamie and I spoke about the execution of the defense. And it's one thing to have a good plan. It's another thing to be able to go out there and actually execute the plan to what the coaches have in mind and what they're envisioning for it. Make the plan when the players go out and are able to execute it. Like that is coaching as well. Being able to get them to play the way you want them to play, for them to realize the defense that you have in your mind, right? And right now for the offense, it's not just the fact that some of the play calls aren't the best. It's that the players can't execute the ideas of the coaches. And that is a problem, right? Because then it doesn't matter how good your plays are if the players can't execute them. I mean, to me, this was the big problem with Tommy Rees, right? Where he couldn't get his quarterbacks to execute the way that he saw the game. Tommy Rees calls good plays. He designs good offense, right? He is a good play caller. He is a good designer of offense, but he can't get those guys to perform it the way that he sees it. And that is a problem. And that is the disconnect. And that is what we saw again last night. The play calls are better, but you can't just say, if you're Marcus Freeman, you can't just say execution. Well, you got to coach it. You got to coach that stuff, right? Like a teacher doesn't give a math test and half the kids fail, and the teacher goes, "Well, it's just execution problem." Well, look, you're the teacher. You got to teach it, right? That's what coaching is. You got to do that stuff. One question, or 1 second, everybody. I got to wipe my nose. All right, nose is running over here. All right, so you got to be able to teach that stuff, right? So that's the thing with the offense right now. The ideas are getting better. I thought the ideas in this game were better from Jared Parker, but they got to be able to teach that stuff. Okay. And you got to be able to execute it on the day. It's not a good USC defense. It isn't, like Notre Dame was much better last year on offense, much better on offense. You get that offensive performance. I mean, Notre Dame could have put up 60 in this game, just given the way that USC was performing offensively. 5 turnovers. So Notre Dame could have done numbers offensively, but it didn't happen. And obviously, that's pretty good. Stubborn Mick, Greg Flammang, Flem. That's good. That's really good. I full credit to you on that. That's good stuff. Robert Hallecky is here. Thank you for being here, Robert. Grateful for the win, having the opportunity to watch with Dad. That's good stuff, Robert. Glad you got to watch with your pops. Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that. Let's see. Dan Adams says, literally happened to me at Notre Dame. Freshman seminar, the average score was high 50s. And the professor comes out like, you got to try harder. It's like, bro, you're getting paid. You're paid to do this. You can't have that. You got to coach it better. You got to coach the execution, So it's important. Jason Warnock, says USC might lose 3 or 4 more with what they have coming up. It's tough. Here's the thing. USC is much better at home. So I know they have Utah at home. Utah doesn't have Thick Boy yet, and that's tough. If they don't have Thick Boy, I can't see. Utah will give USC a lot of the same problems, defensively as Notre Dame did, because Utah's a good defense over there. And so they've got some good stuff, but they really can't score, and the thing is like, is USC going to completely implode like that at home? I just don't see that. They're a very different team at home than they are on the road. I think they have Washington at home as well, and Oregon might be. Someone check me on that. Someone check me. One of the Washington. It's just the fact that they're at home helps. But I have to admit, like, I don't see them beating Washington or Oregon. I mean, that game yesterday is a really good game. I mean, the quality of play there is so high. It's going to be very difficult for them to beat either of those teams, short of injuries. Honestly, Stubborn Mick, SC being 10-2 would be phenomenal. Like, that would be great, because then it's like you want this to be against a good football team that Notre Dame did this. Matt's asking, is Hartman hurt? I don't see it. We can look at his numbers and his play. We can look at that. Doesn't seem hurt, right? Maybe he is, but I just don't see it. What is hurting? As Stubborn Mick brings up, like, the scramble, like he's scrambling all over the place. He's running for yards. I just don't see it being a I just don't. I don't know where the injury would be. I know everyone says the knee, but I just don't. He doesn't have any sort of limp. He doesn't have any sort of anything. So, it's just the way it is. JP says, good morning, Greg. All I can say is good W. Thank God for Al Golden. He did a great job. I mean, he's been awesome. He's just been really great. Roosevelt Carney says, it's the offense style. Hartman is not a pro style quarterback. There might be something to that. There's a learning curve, and Notre Dame's not learning the curve right now. It's just not happening. Speaking of grades, Frankie's here, my man from the Single High Pod. We'll be on next week talking about the game. First, he says he's happy for you. One, you get bragging rights over Michael. Yes, I have another podcast, the Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. Mike's going to be very sad. Y'all going to want to check that out. You got to see a transcendent performance from a safety. How are you handling seeing another safety do something Kyle never did? Everyone loves to say this to me. Listen, what safety has ever had a performance like this? Any safety. You can pick your favorite safety. Ed Reed never had a game like this. It's just, yeah, let's go over it. I'm going to find it. Xavier Watts, 7 tackles, 4 defensive stops, which is basically tackles that result in failures for the offense. So it's less than, if it's 1st and 10, you 2-yard tackle, right? It's a stop, When Zachariah Branch is running the reverse and he gets around the outside, who's left? Xavier Watts pushes him out of bounds for no gain. That's a stop, right? So 7 tackles, 4 defensive stops, 2 interceptions, 3 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 recovered fumble, 1 defensive touchdown. No one's had a game like this. Like, it's just, yeah. Tyler says, X is my guy too, for sure. Listen, I was on Xavier Watts in 2021 when he was like doing stuff against Navy and stuff against Virginia in 2021. Like, I was saying that this dude's got there's something there. There's something there. And I had him late last year as well. So X is my guy. Love X. I love to see it. No, man. Jamie gave it to me yesterday too. Frank says he couldn't resist. Jamie gave it to me. Everyone's talking about this. Listen, Xavier Watts, all-timer game. We love to see it. He's a great player. Plays with passion. I mean, he's almost like a Kyron Williams type energy out there, you know. Plays with passion, plays with fervor. We love to see the fervor. Dan Adams says Xavier Watts defended for the cycle. It's a fair take. Fair take. Jeff Burris did have some crazy games. I mean, Jeff Burris could have had like an all-timer against Florida State. But instead of all of the picks, he had like 4 drop picks in the game. Now he did have 2 rushing touchdowns. So that's something. But he could have had an all-timer in that game. But yeah, he did have some really good games. Josh Miller's here. He stormed the field. Was it really a storming? It was a light raining, a light weather system of the field. I don't know if we stormed the field as much. It was just kind of like people just kind of trotted out there. Like I saw so many photos where people just like, yeah, I'll go down on the field. Not necessarily a storming. You know, to be honest with you, I thought that was I didn't think that was a great performance from the fans from a field storming perspective. If you're going on the field, you got to storm the field, like for real. None of this we're just walking on the field kind of thing. But that's fine. I'm not gonna bang the fans too much. It was a great night. Seemed like everyone was fired up. So that's good. Drew Payment giving credit to the UHND pod. We love the UHND pod. Single high. So Jason Warnock brings up something. Says the only thing Hartman is overrated. So I don't think he has confidence in his receivers right now. Like not for real. Because he wants the ball out. He doesn't feel good trying to fit the ball into windows. He doesn't feel good trying to take shots with them in terms of just like giving them difficult opportunities. Like the passing game lacks confidence, completely lacks confidence. And that's tough. Like it's evident, right? And so that is what they need. And that's why I keep saying like they need Jaden Thomas back, because I think there's a confidence they're throwing to him that it's just not present at the moment. And so it's very difficult to even call plays when you're not sure what you're going to get from the receiving core, from the quarterback, from the blocking. Like it's just, there's so much just unknown there. And like I said, the confidence is poor. And so they need to get that figured out. Like they really do. They can't, like, I don't think you can go to Clemson and just be like, yeah, we're going to turn them over 5 times. You know, that's a road game. They're going to be fired up after what happened last year. You gotta ease the pressure off the running game too. You really do. Roosevelt Carney says we need more of a college offense RPO. Yes, they do. I completely agree. They need more, 2023 concepts that you see a lot on college football teams. So that's a good comment by Roosevelt. Steve Hogan says, great show as always, Greg. Thanks for being here, Steve. Really appreciate that. Caleb Williams is going to have nightmares of Xavier Watts for a while. Listen, Xavier Watts had a good game against USC last year. The only thing was he didn't make the picks, but he had a ton of breakups. He made a couple of great plays there. At least a couple breakups to save a touchdown and another reverse pass. So I think Xavier Watts has played well against USC twice. So, hopefully he returns to Notre Dame next year, and then we can have a good game from him next year as well. 92 Chris ND says, was X out of his mind, or was he in the right place at the right time over and over, or is that the same thing? Well, the first one, I mean, look, let's assume it's a good throw from Caleb Williams, right? Well, Xavier Watts is going to hit the tight end right in his chest and likely break up the play. But then, he holds up because he sees the ball's getting thrown over top and he intercepts it. The second one was tipped, yes, but they also jumped the route. I mean, he jumped it. So I think he picks it off even if it's not tipped. I mean, recovering the fumble, that's right place, right time. But, he's so active. Like, he finds himself around the ball all the time. He has always been that way. He's always found himself around the ball. And so that's a good job by him. And then, forcing the fumble, that's being a playmaker. So I think the only one where it's like kind of right place, right time is maybe the first one. But even then, like, he's where he's supposed to be. He's going to make the play. It's fortunate that it was overthrown. He was intercepted, but I thought he did a great job. And it wasn't like fluky, like we've seen some fluky picks. Like I just remember like the 2016 game against Virginia Tech where they threw a post against Drew Tranquil and the receiver's running wide open and it hits him in the hands. It bounces up and he catches it. Right. Like that's right place, right time. I think Xavier Watts was in good position on all of those. So, full credit to him. Domerhead says, the biggest problem I had with him yesterday was he threw high on a lot of his missed throws. I think you're right with the lack of confidence wide receivers. Yeah, he's just not comfortable. It's not a comfortable passing game right now. All right, let's see. Greg, I know you live in SoCal like me. It made the win so sweet. Yeah, man. Let me tell you, I don't get a ton of Raz out here, but now I won't get any. No Raz. BG, you're right, man. I got to figure out that I'm not supposed to put up Notre Dame stuff, but I got to put up something. You're right. My wife was just yelling at me about this too. I got to put some better stuff up behind me. Let's see. Jason Warnock asks, is Notre Dame looking for a DC this winter? Al Golden making himself a candidate for head coach. I think there's a good chance of that. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think that's most likely situation. I mean, what he did against Ohio State the last 2 years, what he did against USC in this game, what he did against Clemson last year. I mean, passing. I mean, do you want a coach who has one of the best passing efficiency defenses in the nation in 2023? You do. He's done a really good job. So the chances that he's around next year, I would say, are not good. But that's what you want. Like, you want it to be because he did well, not because you want it to be because he did well, not because he's getting fired or whatever. So this is just the natural way of things. Let's see. Fifth Wheel says Jim Leonard will be available. Thoughts? I would say no. I listen, in a vacuum, is he a good defensive coordinator? Absolutely. Not a big recruiter guy, and he's bringing in a different system. I think look at with what Notre Dame is doing, I would think if you can hire within, maybe it's Mickens, right? Maybe you can give Mickens the job if he's ready for that. Then he can do it. You can keep some of the same concepts, a lot of the same coverages, right? Kind of keep the staff continuity there. The defense is good. The defense is very good. Aaron Stack says the NC State defensive coordinator Gibson. Sure. I Tony Gibson. I think Notre Dame ought to try to stay in house for this one. It's not like offense, right? This is a good defense you have. Like if Notre Dame had the 4th ranked offense in terms of like yards per play and passing in the country right now, and you thought, okay, Jared Parker is going to move on or whatever, you would try to hire Gino Guidugli on that front. You know what I mean? So that's what you would do, and I think that's what Notre Dame should look to do. Just my opinion. Mark Youngman says, Greg, do you like Lincoln Riley's style of offense? And do you think it will work with Notre Dame, younger players, and committed recruits? Hope this question makes sense. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Notre Dame's. I don't think Notre Dame will ever go in this direction, because the thing with USC's offense, and we saw it last night, is you can just be absolutely out physical because of the way that they play and the way that they go about things. You can just get beat up. And if they can pressure you, and you have they have a bunch of small guys, like Brennan Rice is big. He's a bigger guy, but they have a bunch of small receivers. I mean, there's something there's always you always want to take elements, right? Like the way they can spread the field and the way they give their quarterback options, and their deeper passing game is phenomenal. I mean, they really do give the quarterback a ton of options, and they put the defense in a bind. You got to be awesome to beat them. But you do need a little bit more physicality. Lincoln Riley's teams, they win with the running game, but they don't win with physicality. They win with scheme. And they win with just like, we're going to have a light box all the time, and we're going to run into this. Well, what happens when you play a team with a light box and they can just beat you up? Like Notre Dame did yesterday. Notre Dame won the front seven just completely. Just complete dominance in the front seven. When that happens, then all of a sudden everything is closed off on the back end, and you have a quarterback who's under fire all the time. And he's under pressure. And so that causes problems for this kind of offense right now. There's obviously, they score like 49 points a game, like 9 yards of play, right? Like there is a balance there. And there is a, I personally love the way that Steve Sarkisian runs offense, where it's like they're strong. They play with strength, but there's also like an RPO attached to everything. They'll throw downfield. So I'm a really big fan of Steve Sarkisian in the way that he plays, offense over there. Michael Sinat, yeah, Mike Mickens. Let's see it. Let's talk about it. I think that's a good way to go. Reward the coaches that are doing the best job, and he has done the best job. Tom DeMay says, I'm not a fan of RPO. Tom, I think that's insane. You can throw on a running play. As a defender, that is the most difficult thing in the world, because you have linemen blocking down. All your keys are that. You can throw on running plays. Like it is it's the biggest advantage in sports. Like as a defender, it's a travesty that they let you do that you can throw on a running play. It's a travesty. They got to throw downfield. Like linemen can be downfield on passes now, 3 yards. Like it's insane. It's the biggest rule change for a defense in like history. It's so difficult. I think that an RPO game, you can still be power running. You absolutely can. There's no reason. There's no difference. What power running and RPOs are, they don't have to be different. You can do the same thing. You absolutely can. Yeah, Michigan does it. Michigan runs RPOs. They do. So it's a big deal. You should be able to do it. And Notre Dame should do it, and everyone should do it. It's the most difficult thing to game plan for. Michael Hoffman says, my USC buddy and I make a stupid bet every year. I have a butt tattoo, and now he needs to get a nipple pierced. Okay. That's on the show. Thank you, Michael. Unbelievable. That's good stuff. And I'll tell you what else is good stuff. VSR Media. You want to upgrade your website, your social media. You got a highlight reel that you want to, throw out to the people. You want to design a better website for your business, social medias. You're getting engaged. You want a good engagement. You want a good engagement video. Then you're going to want to hit up vsrmediacompany.com Founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh, VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or are aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior, and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com and mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. I mean, I did read that. You put it in the chat. Yeah, man, Dan, sometimes you just gotta, the ad reads, you just gotta go with that. You gotta go with that. Tom DeMay says, the biggest problem with offense is lack of deep passing. I don't think RPO fixed that. Maybe RPO would have saved us against Louisville on short yardage, but to me, it just showed how predictable our offense is. So RPO is basically like, we always talk about how you're running into stack boxes and that sort of thing. Well, if you have a sophisticated RPO game, then you can't have safeties crashing on everything. You can't have corners crashing on everything. You can't have nickels because they have to cover things on the outside, right? So you mitigate all that trash that can stop a good blocked running play, right? Because you can get safeties down and you can get corners down and you can get nickels down and all that stuff. Like RPOs take that away, because if those guys are crashing, then you get out and throw the RPO. So it's not a way to like build an explosive passing game like over the top, right? You want traditional play action for that. But in terms of just like, hey, you got to keep the defense honest. I mean, that's why in 2017, like Notre Dame was a very heavy RPO team in 2017. One of the best running games Notre Dame's ever had, because they have to be able to respect the fact that you can get the ball and pull it out here. I mean, that's a perfect example. Power running game in 2017, very heavy RPO. And so that's what you're looking for. Hey, Tom, no problem. I appreciate you honestly addressing my post, because I'm also trying to learn how we can fix this. So I really appreciate the input you got for this. For sure. That's why we do the shows, Tom. That's why we're here. And I'm glad you're here. And I appreciate the conversation. I love the conversation. Brian Haney says, I just have a very good feeling coming out of the bye. You will see a totally dominant team, healthier and now confident. This is what winning does, friends. This is what winning does. Everyone feels good. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how everything is good. Last week, everything was not good, right? So that's what winning does for the fans, for the program, and for everything. Drew Payment says, even with struggling accuracy, it felt like we had better deep balls in 2017 as well. Yeah, like there's just so much. You're stressing the defense with so many things. Stressing the defense with so many different options. And that's the number one thing with playing offense. BG says, why do we talk like Golden is leaving? Well, I'm talking like that because it's just kind of practical in that he probably wants another head coaching job or to be in the NFL. I think a lot of coaches don't like the recruiting aspect of college football. I mean, Lincoln Riley's talked openly about this in the last couple of weeks. So I think he would like back in the NFL, or he'd like a head coaching job. And so that's just my opinion, right? It's not that I don't like him or any of that stuff. I don't wish it to happen. I hope he stays. I mean, output like this, you hope he stays for as long as he wants. But I just think he probably wants to go on the NFL, and do that and get out of the college game. It's just my opinion. Tom DeMay with a good comment. I'm happy we humbled Caleb so bad after last season. Yeah, man. He's doing the Heisman pose. You hate to see that. And when you win an opposing quarterback a Heisman Trophy, like I think Notre Dame did last year, you don't like that. It doesn't look good. And he's got the stuff painted on his fingernails, and you don't like that either. And so to come back and play the way that they did against him, I have to admit, in the in the week leading up, did not predict. Of all the ways that I saw the game going, I did not see Caleb Williams being the reason that USC lost the game. And but that's kind of the problem with their team, in that, like, talking to a lot of USC people, their big thing was like, Caleb Williams is the whole team. He is everything. And so it's just like, when you have everything on the quarterback and he goes out there and has a stinker, it's not going to look good. You're going to be in a bad way, and you're not able to supplement his play with, with other things. And, like, to be fair, like, Sam Hartman put up a stinker last week, and Notre Dame was not able to overcome that either. Like, it's just hard to overcome your quarterback in 2023 like that, just given the way that the game is played, where the quarterback is in much more position to have, an outsized influence on how the game goes. It's like, it just didn't go well for him. I mean, it is kind of interesting how, like, the last 2 weeks, Notre Dame was on the wrong side of a 5 turnover game, and now they're on the right side of a 5 turnover game. I mean, to be honest, like, if it had to go some kind of way, I'm glad that it went the way it did. It's important to beat your rivals. It's important to beat the top teams in college football. And I know that Louisville, was, ranked high or whatever, but they're not USC. They're not the name. It's better for Notre Dame to have done this against USC than to have done it against Louisville and then have the opposite result. It's important to beat your rivals. It's important to beat the Blue Bloods. It's important to win the big games. And that is something that Brian Kelly famously was not able to do as much. Marcus Freeman has now done it a couple of times against Clemson and USC. You got to be able to beat those teams, and that's a skill as a head coach. That was a skill that Lou Holtz had. It was a skill that, Charlie Weiss did not have, and that Bob Davie did not have. And obviously Tyrone Williams. I mean, but even Ty beat Michigan, right? A couple times. So, you got to be able to win the big games. You got to be able to beat those teams that everyone's looking to. And you just gotta. He has to find a way to right the ship offensively, and he being Marcus. It's their time for that, right? You finish the season 10-2 with wins over USC and Clemson. You have unequivocally taken steps forward as a program. Because look, it's not like, because here's the thing. They played a tough, they're 100% playing. They're 100% playing a tougher schedule than they did last year. And to go 10-2 with it, and the offense still isn't humming the way you want. That shows something. It would show something. But there's a lot of work to do on that front. You go into the bye, got to figure things out, and then go from there, right? And I think this win sets them up to do that. They really needed it in a big spot, and it needed to happen, and they made it happen. So full credit to them, full credit to the fans, full credit to you guys for being in this chat. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If this is your first time catching me here, please subscribe to the show. Please hit the like button, and please hit the notification bell. Links to this podcast are in the description below if you'd like to listen to the audio version instead of the video version. Jamie and I will be back on Tuesday. We'll have a normal schedule in the bye. We'll do Tuesday, Thursday. Maybe we'll have to figure out what the Thursday show is, because that's usually a preview. So we'll see what we can cook up for everybody. But thank you again. Have a good Sunday. Have a good bye week. We'll talk to you on Thursday. on Tuesday. And also look out for some stuff. I've got some women's basketball content coming. We've got some really good things that'll come out on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. All right. Have a good Sunday, everyone. Notre Dame wins 48-20. Big rivalry win. We'll talk to you next week. Oh, keep